Hi, and welcome to Season 2 of That's Ruddy Mysterious, a podcast of short tales about true mysteries. What created the Potomsky Crater? Who was involved in the 1963 Great Train Robbery? I'm not going to solve those mysteries, but they'll be interesting to learn about. I'm your host, Kelly with an I. Transcripts and references for all episodes can be found at that'sruddymysterious.wordpress.com. No apostrophe and no exclamation point. Today's tale is about the Mapimí Silent Zone. Geraldo Rivera, a state bureaucrat who also happens to be Chihuahua's most devoted UFO investigator, said of the zone, "There are lots of stories of aliens and unidentified flying objects in the zone. People often get lost in the zone. When this happens, sometimes tall, blonde beings appear out of nowhere." What's going on there? The Mapimí Silent Zone is in Mapimí, Mexico, and has a storied past. It's not far from Bolson. It's located in the Chihuahuan Desert in northern Mexico. The Chihuahuan Desert is 160,000 hectares, and the Silent Zone is a closed basin in the bed of an ancient, now dried-up sea that takes up a roughly 50-kilometer area of the desert. The Silent Zone is between the 26th and 28th parallels, just like the Bermuda Triangle. Millions of years ago, this is where the Sea of Thetis was located. The Silent Zone is in the Trino Vortex, which is where the states of Chihuahua, Durango, and Coahuila meet. The zone is bordered by the Sierra del Diablo and the mountain Pastelon, also known as San Ignacio. The zone is about 400 miles, or about 644 kilometers, south of El Paso, Texas, and about 25 miles, or about 40 kilometers, away from Ceballos. La Zona del Silencio, translated in English to the Zone of Silence, is an area of the desert where radios are said not to work and compasses are said to spin wildly. The myths or rumors about the zone started in the 1930s when the pilot Francisco Sarabia had to make an emergency landing due to radio abnormalities. He said his radio had failed entirely while flying over the zone. In 1964, Pemex, a Mexican oil company, sent engineer Harry de la Peña to the area to survey the desert for an oil pipeline they were hoping to build. De la Peña came across the Silent Zone, which affected his radio communications. In 1966, he was the first to describe the area as a zone of silence. He returned to the area several times to run tests. What he discovered was that the zone moved around. It was not in the same place twice, and he couldn't pinpoint the exact location of the interference. During the Cold War, which began in 1947 and ended with the Soviet Union collapse in 1991, the U.S. was doing missile tests. White Sands Missile Base is in New Mexico. They were testing Athena RTV rockets in a joint task with the U.S. Air Force and U.S. Army. On July 11, 1970, the project launched an Athena RTV V123D rocket from the Green River Complex in Utah. The final stage of the missile was carrying 2 small vials of radioactive cobalt-57. Cobalt-57 was used to magnify radioactive fallout in order to contaminate large areas. Missiles carrying this payload were referred to as salted bombs. The rocket was supposed to land in White Sands, New Mexico, however, it had an abnormal re-entry and went wildly off course. At first, it was believed that less than 100 pounds of debris actually hit Earth, but the Green River Complex didn't know where it landed. They thought the rocket had landed about 100 to 200 miles from the Mexican border, with some military experts saying the missile seemed to be drawn to that area. The rocket had actually landed in the Zone of Silence, overshooting the landing by 400 miles or 644 kilometers. The rocket landed at 2 a.m. After this out-of-control rocket landing, the U.S. government went into the zone to find the rocket and cover up their error. The government men quickly noticed that their radios did not work in the zone. Their TVs and satellite signals were also not working. However, there's no official report of this. Strangely, neither radar nor plane tracking revealed the location of the missile. It took the U.S. government several weeks to find the rocket, but once it was found, it and about 20 tons of radioactive soil were removed from the area. The secrecy of the operation led to rumors about the area. People local to the area play up these rumors, and unfortunately, based on them, a lot of people have gone to the area to investigate. This human intervention is destroying the zone. In October of 1975, 2 fossil hunters went into the zone looking for unusual rocks and samples. While Ernesto and Josefina Diaz were searching, a rainstorm moved in. The couple noticed and took immediate action, however they were too late and couldn't outrun the storm. That's when 2 tall men showed up and offered to help them. The men were wearing the same thing, yellow raincoats and hats. Suddenly, the Diazes found their vehicle on solid ground. Then the 2 men vanished without a trace, not even a footprint. In September of 1976, just before 9 p.m., residents near the zone began reporting a large rectangular object hovering over their heads. The object was about 984 feet or 300 meters long. It had colored and pulsating lights around its rim. Witnesses could hear a deep hum coming from within the object. All of the dogs in the town began howling and wouldn't stop barking at the object. Then, as quickly as it had arrived, the object disappeared. In 1991, there was a solar eclipse that could be seen from Mexico. Some believe the strange UFO activity began at this time and made it one of the most active UFO hotspots in the world. The activity in the zone predates this eclipse, however. There have been a lot of reports of peculiar events happening in the Mapimí Silent Zone. Not all of these events are credible, however. Most still remain unexplained. The peculiar events range from strange lights hovering over the area, to strange aircraft in the area, even to strange people appearing out of nowhere and disappearing to the same. So many peculiar events occur in the zone that it has been compared to Japan's Dragon's Triangle and their Bermuda Triangle. So far the claim is unproven, but some say the area has high levels of magnetite and uranium. This could explain the lack of radio signals in the area. There are also claims of many meteorites landing in the zone. Meteorites often contain iron and other magnetic materials, so some believe that the area has a strong magnetic pull, and that this magnetic pull drags meteorites in. In fact, 2 meteorites fell on the same ranch in the area, one in 1938 and the other in 1954. One meteorite fell in the Allende Valley just west of the ranch, in 1969. Some scientists claim that there are no more meteorites falling in the zone than in any other place on Earth, however. In addition to these other claims, some people have said they've seen strange people in the Mapimí Silent Zone. The people who make these claims say they've seen 3 people, 1 woman and 2 men, all blondes. Staff at one of the ranches in the zone say they've seen the 3 people wearing clothing that is not at all suitable for a desert environment. Despite their strange appearance, the 3 are said to all speak Spanish like people native to the area. All 3 are said to be extremely attractive and polite. On every visit, the 3 ask to fill their canteens with water from the well. When the staff ask where the people are from, they respond, "From above." The Mapimí Silent Zone has a very unique environment. In fact, it has its own species. The zone claims 31 species of endemic plants like Cactaceae, as well as 75 species of protected animals. At first, it was thought to be strange that people found fossils belonging to sea life in the area, but it makes sense when you consider the fact that the zone lies in an ancient seabed. There are also a lot of arrowheads and salt deposits in the area. In 1979, the area of the Mapimí Silent Zone was declared part of the Mapimí-Bolson Biosphere Reserve, and a lab was built next to the mountain range. The Mapimí-Bolson Biosphere Reserve is 342,388 hectares big. The lab studies the flora and fauna of the area, including the gopherus tortoise, which is a rare, moderately sized tortoise that can be found in the southeastern United States and in this area of Mexico. The lab has found no evidence of anything unusual or paranormal in the Mapimí Silent Zone, but that doesn't mean the myths and legends aren't true. The nearby mountain range could certainly be affecting radio signals. In 1992, Andrea Kaus, a wildlife conservationist from the University of California, wrote a doctoral dissertation about the area. Her focus was on the social conditions in Durango, Mexico, and their effect on the conservation programs on the reserve. Kaus reported that she had no trouble with her radios or compasses while at the research station. She also said that the local people don't believe in the zone of silence. She reported that the research in the area is hindered by people looking for UFOs or aliens as they collect their artifacts and that they leave behind their trash. She continued that the people who come and trash this area, also known as zoneros, are thought to be a nuisance by the local people because they continue to perpetuate the myths about the zone. What is going on in the Mapimí Silent Zone? There are some theories. One theory is that the magnetism in the area draws in rockets and meteorites, blocks radio signals, and messes up compasses. Some people believe that UFOs are visiting the area, while others say that a space probe passing by has been confused for a UFO. Some people believe the area is influenced by aliens or other paranormal causes. Some people believe that it's strange to find sea life fossils in the area, while others believe this is natural given the whole area used to be under the sea during the Cenozoic era. Why don't radios work in the Mapimí Silent Zone? Why is there unique flora and fauna to be found in the area? Are UFOs actually visiting, or are people confusing a space probe for a UFO? What do you think? Thanks for listening to today's episode of That's Ruddy Mysterious. I'm your host, Kelly with an I. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a review and follow That's Ruddy Mysterious to be updated about new episodes. Tune in next Tuesday for another thought-provoking tale.